to the next point. We should ensure whatever we say is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Good day, my wonderful students, listeners, and viewers at home. You are once again welcome to today's e-learning telecast. As you are aware, this telecast is being sponsored by Kaduna State Government, and I'm sure you have been learning a lot from this telecast. My name is Mr. Charles Dunia Nanat, and I'm your civic education teacher. Today, our topic is nationalism, continuation. Don't forget that nationalism is a broad topic, and so it's a series. Our today's outline: nationalistic roles of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, nationalistic roles of Alhaji Sir Bakar Tafawa Balewa. Let's look at the biography of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo was born on the 6th of March, 1909. He was a Nigerian politician, trade unionist, and statesman, a Yoruba and native of Ikenne in Ogun State of Nigeria. He started his career as a regional political leader, like most of his pre-independence contemporaries, and was responsible for much of the progressive social legislations that made a modern nation. He earned a Bachelor of Commerce in Nigeria from a London university through correspondence. Correspondence simply means that the school in London has an outlet or a branch in Nigeria. So he didn't have to travel to London to go and study. He could still study in Nigeria, and then the university in London will award him the degree. He later went to the UK in 1944, where he earned a law degree from London School of Economics. He was a Nigerian statesman who was a strong and influential advocate of independence, nationalism and federalism. He was also known for his progressive views concerning social welfare. Awolowo was a leader that believed that the state should channel Nigeria's resources into education and state-led infrastructure development. My dear students, in summary, Obafemi Awolowo was born in 1909 in Ogun State. And like we have read in his biography, he was a politician, a trade unionist, and also a good writer. Obafemi Awolowo was also one of the early nationalists that this great country has produced. And don't forget that he believed that the resources of the state should be channeled towards citizens. That is, the resources of the state should be used to improve the lives of citizens. So it simply means he was a progressive person. He believed so much in progress. He believed that citizens should benefit from the state. And don't forget, too, that he is also known or seen as the father of federalism. Federalism is a system of government that is a combination of both the central government and regional government. Don't forget, my dear students, before independence, Nigeria was operating a regional system of government. We had the western region, we had the northern region, and we also had the eastern region. Obafemi Awolowo, like I said, was a trade unionist. That is, he was a comrade. He believed in justice. He believed in fighting for the rights of people. Now, don't forget that he schooled in Nigeria through a correspondence program, and then he went to the UK in 1944 to further his studies. My dear students, this is the portrait picture of late Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo. My dear students, let us look at the nationalistic roles of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. That is, how did he contribute to Nigeria's nationalism? Number one, he was the first indigenous premier of the Western region under Nigeria's parliamentary system of government from 1952 to 1960. Don't forget, I told you that Nigeria was operating a regional government. And so he was the premier, the first indigenous premier of the Western region. You can call him the governor of Western region then. Number two, he was a strong influential advocate of independence, nationalism, and federalism. These were his ideologies and philosophy. Chief Obafemi Awolowo believed in an independent nation. That is, a nation should not go under suppression and all manner of colonialism. He believed that everyone should enjoy freedom in the state. He was the first person to introduce free education in the western region of Nigeria when he was the premier of the region on Nigerian Constitution, 1966. Chief Obafemi Awolowo saw education as a tool for national development. He saw education as a pillar that will help Nigeria to become an independent nation. And so when he was the premier of the western region, he introduced free education so that even the poor can go to school. He believed education should be for everyone. He believed that if a nation is educated, that nation is going to experience development and progress. Next, he also introduced free healthcare in Western Nigeria. Free healthcare, especially for nursing mothers, pregnant women. He ensured that the high rate of child mortality was reduced drastically. A lot of women in the rural areas have died as a result of not accessing hospitals or lack of finances to pay for their medical bills. As a way of contributing to nationalism in Nigeria, he introduced free healthcare system. Next, he facilitated the building of the first stadium, Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, Oyo State. The stadium has been renamed Obafemi Awolowo Stadium. It simply means that Chief Obafemi Awolowo believed in structural development. And as a result of this, he was able to build the Liberty Stadium that has now been renamed after him. He was the leader of the opposition party in the House of Assembly. He was a leader of the opposition. He established the first TV station in Nigeria in October 31st, 1959, known as Western Nigerian Television, WNTV. Like I earlier said, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was a progressive. He believed in development. He also believed that the mass media has a role to play in sensitizing Nigerians in regards to resisting colonial rule. And so he established the very first TV station in Nigeria in 1959, known as Western Nigerian Television, that is present-day NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. The University of Ife was renamed Obafemi Awolowo University on 12th May 1987 in honor of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the first premier of Western region. So we can see that because of his contribution to nationalism, he was honored by naming a university after him, known as Obafemi Awolowo University. He was responsible for much of the progressive social legislation that made Nigeria a modern-day nation today. So it simply means that Obafemi Awolowo contributed to Nigeria's independence immensely, especially through legislation. And Nigeria is a modern-day nation as a result of his contributions towards nationalism. He played a major role in the Constitutional Conference conducted in London and Lagos, which opened the path for Nigerian independence. So don't forget that before independence, there were a lot of pre-independence conferences discussing how Nigeria can be an independent nation. That is, we are free from British colonialism. And so he contributed a lot to ensure that Nigeria became an independent nation. He died at Ikene, Ogun State, on 9th May 1987. The 100 Naira note was introduced in the year 2000 under the regime of General Olusegun Obasanjo, and the portrait picture of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo is on the note as a mark of honor. So my dear students, you can see the 100 Naira note that was introduced in the year 2000. And as a way to honor him, though he is dead, but his legacy still lives on. You can see his beautiful picture on the 100 Naira note. my dear students, we shall be looking at another great nationalist in the person of Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Let's look at his biography. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, KBE, PC, was a Nigerian politician who was the first Prime Minister of Nigeria. He was nicknamed the Golden Voice of Africa because of his eloquence in English language. Tafawa Balewa was nicknamed the Golden Voice of Africa because he was so fluent in English language. He mastered the language. He was born in December 1912 at Bauchi, northern Nigeria. He was from a humble background. His father rose from a slave to a district head. At a tender age, he was able to recite the Holy Quran. He attended Katsina Training College from 1928 to 1933. He was a teacher and later headmaster of the Bauchi Middle School. So we can see that Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was not born with a silver spoon, came from a humble background. His father was a slave, and from a slave, his father rose to become the district head. And don't forget that as a Muslim, we know that Quranic education or Islamic education is very, very important. And the very first education his father introduced him to was not Western education, but Islamic education. And we were told at a tender age, he was able to recite the Holy Quran off heart. And after he finished his Quranic education or Islamic education, he attended Katsina Training College. It's a college where teachers are molded and trained. And by profession, he was a teacher. And from a teacher, he rose to the ranks to become headmaster of the Bauchi Middle School. He also studied at the London University Institute of Education from 1945 to 1946, where he received a teacher certificate in history. So by profession and by training, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was a historian. During World War II, Tafawa Balewa had become interested in political activities. He founded the Bauchi Discussion Circle, an organization interested in political reform. In 1948, he was elected vice president of the Northern Teachers Association, the first trade union in northern Nigeria. In 1949, he helped organize the Northern People's Congress, known as NPC, which was originally conceived as a cultural organization, but by 1951, a political party. So we can see that from a humble background, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa grew through the ranks. Don't forget, he went to London, where he was finally certified as a teacher. And when he came back, we were told he had keen interest in political activities. And as we all know, we were told that he was the first vice president of Northern Teachers Association, the first trade union in northern Nigeria. He also helped to organize the Northern People Congress, NPC. Don't forget, Alhaji Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sadana of Sokoto, was the leader of the party, while Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the vice president of the party. Now, this party at first was conceived as a cultural organization, but in 1951, it metamorphosed into a political party. My dear students, this is the picture of Nigeria's first prime minister and the only prime minister this great nation has ever produced. This is Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. My dear students, let's look at the nationalistic roles of Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. What was his contributions towards Nigeria's nationalism? One, he was the first and only prime minister of Nigeria from 1957 to 1966. He was the first prime minister. It means even before Nigeria became an independent nation on the 1st of October 1960, Tafawa Balewa was appointed prime minister, the only prime minister this great nation has ever produced. Secondly, he was one of the founding fathers and vice president of the Northern People's Congress, NPC, a very powerful political organization, a very powerful political party in northern Nigeria. He was the vice president. Don't forget, I earlier told you that Alhaji Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sadana of Sokoto, was the leader of the NPC, Northern People's Congress, Next, he was a member of the Northern House of Assembly and a member of Nigeria Legislative Council. Due to his exposure and his contact with early Western education, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the best brain that the North could produce. And so instantly, he represented the North at the Northern House of Assembly and became a member of the Legislative Council. He was a Minister of Works in 1952, Minister of Transport in 1954, and Senior Minister and leader of the Northern People's Congress in the House of Representatives. So we can see that he has a rich profile. We can see that he has occupied several leadership positions in this great nation due to his contributions to Nigeria's nationalism. He was an important leader in the formation of the Organization of African Unity that was known as OAU, and also creating a cooperative relationship with French-speaking African countries. Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa believed that Africa should be free from the clutches of colonialism and oppression. And so he, alongside other great African nationalists, began this movement of having a united Africa. He, alongside the likes of Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, the likes of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, and the likes of other great African nationalists, contributed to the formation of the OAU, and the headquarters is located in Addis Ababa. Don't forget, I told you earlier on that virtually every African country has experienced colonialism. The only African nation that didn't experience colonialism is Ethiopia. The Italians attempted it, but they defeated them in the Battle of Adwa. That is why the headquarters of the OAU, now known as African Union, is located in Ethiopia. His government initiated and pursued African-centered foreign policy. It simply means that Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was a diplomat. He ensured that Nigeria had good relationship with other nations. He participated actively in pre-independence constitutional conferences too. Don't forget that before Nigeria became an independent nation, there were lots of pre-independence conferences, and Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was in the forefront of such conferences. Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was killed in the first of two Nigerian army coups on 15th January 1966 in Lagos, which ended the First Republic, Nigeria's first civilian government. His portrait is captured on the 5 Naira note as a mark of honor. Also, the university in Bauchi is named after him, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, which was established in 1980. So my dear students, this is the 5 Naira note, and you can see the beautiful picture of one of Nigeria's great nationalists in the person of Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. My dear students, this is where we come to the end of today's lesson. But before we part, I would love to give you an assignment. Number 1, mention 5 significant contributions of Chief Obafemi Awolowo to Nigerian nationalism. Mention 5 significant contributions of Chief Obafemi Awolowo to Nigerian nationalism. Number 2, highlight any 5 nationalistic roles of Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Highlight any 5 nationalistic roles of Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. For further reference, you can contact the following textbooks. 1, Civic Education for Senior Secondary Schools and Colleges by J.B. Saleh, Dr. O. Ademola, and P.A. Damlop. Number 2, Civic Education for Senior Secondary Schools and Colleges based on the NERDC curriculum by C.I. Nwaize V.E. Ogbe, Y.S. Bashir, et al. My name is Mr. Charles Dunia Nanat. You can contact me through this number on the screen for your questions and for your assignments, through WhatsApp or through SMS, 070-6312-6878. I repeat, my name is Charles Dunia Nanat. You can contact me through this contact on the screen, 070-6312-6878. Stay safe, keep learning. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.